We've got 2 minutes until we get started. We're going to be talking about developing our teams next year. I've got so much to share. We're going to be flying through here. I have some bonus content at the end. If you don't have a hard stop at the bottom of the hour, I will stay on with you to do additional Q&A and cover some of the bonus content. In the meantime, feel free to use that chat and chat in any specific questions that you have. We'll be getting started in 2 minutes. Jessica and Christine, thank you for helping us make sure our chat was working. Anybody else who'd like to play along with me, open up that chat, type in your name and your location. In fact, let's go one step further. Your name, your city, and your role. Are you a sales leader joining us, an enablement leader, a trainer? We're chatting in our name, our location, and our role. Let's get to know our participants a little bit and warm up our chat fingers because I love it when it's more interactive. Gina is a trainer in Arizona. Yahoo! Hi, Gina. Christine is an inside sales manager. Awesome. Where are you located, Christine? You did that for me earlier. Minnesota. Thank you, Gina. You're playing along. I appreciate that very much. This is good. I grew up as a trainer and a sales leader. And as the trainer part of me struggles when we do webinars because I've got nobody to talk to. So I really appreciate it when you guys chat. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, everybody. You found Factor 8's webinar on how do we plan to develop our people next year. I have this packed with about 2 hours of content. We are going to get through it in 30 minutes. We're going to start in about 30 seconds. In the meantime, open up your chat window for me, please. We're going to play along. We're starting with your name, your city, and your role. Are you a sales leader, a sales manager, a trainer, an enablement leader, a rep? Talk to me about who you are and where you are while we get ready to rumble. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Open up those chats. Let us know who you are, where you are, and what your role is. And keep those chats open because my very first slide, I'm going to be starting with a quiz. I can't help myself. I just can't. Let's go ahead and start our recording now. Welcome, everyone. My name is Lauren Bailey. I'm the founder of Factor 8, the Sales Bar and Girls Club, which really just means I've got attention deficit disorder. Today, we're combining a little bit of all of those because they're all about developing our people. That's my passion and what we live to do at Factor 8 and Girls Club. The Sales Bar is how we do it. 10 seconds of history. I grew up as a seller and a sales leader and a trainer and a training leader. Kind of bounced back and forth till I bounced out of corporate America to start my own gig at Factor 8 to fill the holes of the stuff I couldn't find in the marketplace. As a sales manager, I was so frustrated that I couldn't get the right training for my reps on how to sell virtually. And as a training leader, I was so frustrated I couldn't find a company who could help me build training for my sales managers. So I started Factor 8, and that's what we do today. The purpose of today is to share tips and tricks on how to get more for your dollar in developing your people next year. I have information in here on low cost, no cost ways. If you have to train your own people and you're a sales manager and they're all remote, I feel your pain. I have 2 slides at the end for you. I'm staying long to make sure we can cover them. For everybody else, the number one thing we're doing here is learning about why do we budget for it and how do we budget for it. So let's get started. It's a quiz. I told you so. We're going to start with why is development critical? So keep those chat fingers warm and start by answering the first question. According to the Ambition study 3 years ago, what percentage of reps said, I'm staying forever if you keep developing me? Next one, chat them both in. Oh, I can't do that because then I won't know which one you're answering. Start with that, everybody. Here we go. What percentage of reps said, I'm staying? Heather, 75. Hi, Heather. That's great. This is great, 67%. You know, 92.6% of all statistics are made up on the spot. The answer to this one is 98%. Laura, so close. You are the winner so far. Next number, this one's a Forbes study. They ranked what millennials are looking for. So the first one's about staying in a company. This one's about joining a company. What are they looking for, right? Training and development or development opportunities. What number did it rank? Your answer is 1 through 10. Here we go. Laura, boom, 1. Jessica, 1. Allie, 2. Heather, 2. I love it. Thanks for playing, ladies. The answer is number one. It is number one. I have all these answers on the next slide in case you're screen grabbing. The number one, you guys are going to know this one quick and easy, right? The number one benefit ranked to retain top talent. The number one benefit ranked to lure away top talent. This one was in our Factor 8 study. And of course, people who find Factor 8 are all into development, right? The answer to that is developing your people. That was in our retention study. And Amy Wonderlick, if you've joined us, I don't know if we're dropping that link or not. People may want to see that because I'll tell you, it's a nervous economy out there. And I'm so sorry for those of you who have had to let reps go. But I know there's another half of people on this webinar who are scooping those people up and not stopping there. They're going after the superstars. Luring away talent is a big deal right now. Thank you, Amy. Keep your talent. Amy did a great job on this retention survey, and there's some interesting stuff in here. Last number of the quiz. What percentage of reps, according to the American Association of Inside Sales Professionals, feel they're getting enough training to be successful? 15%. Laura, ouch. You're right on track with all the rest of these, though. Let's see. Hey, I see some guys in here who aren't playing. Jason and Jeff, I'm calling you out. David, calling you out. Guillermo, I'm calling you out. Open up those chats. Nobody wants to compete with you, Laura. The number's 50%. So here's the answers to all of these stats. Allie, nice job. 50% of folks are feeling like they're getting what they need to be successful. And that to me says getting what I need to stay at my company. So folks, we've got a gap, okay? This is why development is critical. I'm going to give you another view on why development is critical. Interestingly enough, 50% of all college graduates today join sales. Isn't that great? Not even business graduates, all college graduates. Their first job is in sales. But according to HBR, 75% of them are failing out. That hurts, doesn't it? And they're leaving faster and faster and faster. This number of 14 months is 2 years old. I believe due to COVID, it's going up to 16 months. Next year, I think we'll see it go down again. They are leaving faster and faster. There's another reason we've got to develop them, not just to retain them, but because, sorry, everybody. That's so rude. I'm sorry, but you and I both know this is true. We used to be able to recruit people with 2 years of experience. Well, look at those stats. They don't even make it to 2 years. You're not going to find that experience. In addition, our customer expectations have gone up, and the number of tools and things that reps need to learn have gone up. So while everything else is going up, your rep experience has gone down, which means the people you used to train 3 years ago were smarter and better than the people you're getting right now. And that can be really, really tough. So I've built a little chart to show us what this looks like. When you look at the tenure, I took it up to 16 months, right? Studies are telling us really best-in-class companies get people up to quota. This is going to green in 3 or 4 months. The average takes 6 months. Virtual work is pushing everybody from best-in-class to the average, okay? So your first 5 months, reps aren't paying for themselves. Boom, they start to hit quota month 6 through getting close to that end of tenure. What do people do when they're out job searching and not loving their work? They start to go back down. So out of these 16 months, we're getting an average of about 9 months of performance. That's nuts, right? Anybody would look at this investment and say, something's got to give. Unfortunately, here's the last piece. I know this is all bad news, right? But what we're doing is just drafting more and more. And that's worked for us because they've been available. Not so much anymore, either because your company is hiring the freezing or because you can't freaking find them. We don't have any more frontline soldiers. And the part that's saddest to me is I feel like they're coming in, they're failing out. And because of that, we're teaching people to hate sales. And I'm on a mission to do what I can to fix that, right? Those BDR, SDR roles especially, they come in, they flame out. They come in and they flame out. It's the front lines and they're getting mowed down. So I think development is the answer, folks. Instead of constantly looking to put in, thanks, Jason, instead of constantly looking to fill the boat, right, with more people, let's fix the freaking hole in the boat, right? I mean, the recruitment budgets are massive. The development budgets are not. And there's something wrong with that to me. So development fixes the hole in the boat. All the studies we started with said that. It brings great people to you. It keeps great people with you. But most importantly, think of that timeline. It helps them be successful sooner. And folks, when you're successful at work, you like coming to work. It's when you feel like a loser and like it's just no fun and you're not getting what you need and you're getting beat up every day and you got to suit up to go. We've all been there. We've had jobs we've hate. Let's help people learn to love sales. And I think development's the answer to that. So let's move forward. What does good look like? Some of us are new in our roles of development. Some of us don't have a development department, right? Your sales manager's out there trying to get it done. Here's best in class, folks. Actually, this is average. We'll talk about best in class in a second. 4 hours a month is the average amount of company provided development. Okay. The actual answer is like 45.5 annually. It comes down to about 4 hours a month. Don't make that just product training. Okay. When we're teaching people our products and our updates, it's good, but that should be a quarter of this at the most. Best in class uses a professional trainer or curriculum. Sales Architects does a study on that every single year. It's like 90% of the best in class companies, they're not just doing it internally. The development can be training and coaching. Right on, Tara. Business acumen is huge. Okay. Training and coaching, 30 seconds on the difference. Okay. If you're a frontline sales manager and there is no training department, people are hired and put on your team, you're doing both. So no wonder they get confused. Training is where we're not telling someone what to do. That's telling, right? That's presenting. Training is where we're helping them interact with the information. We're telling them what to do. We're showing them what good looks like. Then we're practicing. Now, once they come out of good training and they can apply it, coaching begins. Coaching is where our coaches and our managers give them feedback on the execution of it. It's not a performance one-on-one meeting. It's not a pipeline review. It's not IMing somebody in the middle of a call what to say. It's listening to their execution of a skill in a call, a role play, a ride along, doesn't matter. And then discussing how they did so that they're getting feedback on how to improve. And most importantly, coming out feeling like a rock star. It's a whole different webinar, what good coaching is, but it's important we cover that because reps need both. You can spend all your budget getting them training. And if they're not getting coaching on it along the way, fail. Your managers can be excellent coaches, which means you've trained them how to be because we aren't naturally, because we were great reps. Sorry, different webinar. But if they didn't get the training first, they're spinning their wheels. Okay, it's a combination. So everybody who's out there with LinkedIn Learning licenses, good on you. It doesn't count. That's rude, right? And you just can't do it alone. Okay, giving somebody a login does not development equal. You can make that active, right? By adding some in-person, adding discussion, adding cohorts, finding other ways. That can be part of your solution. Again, don't make it more than 25%. Okay, learners love certifications. You just have to ask yourself, does this help me grow my career? That's what the young people want, okay? Get beyond the classroom. It's not just about training. It has to live. You've got to mind the gap between the selling arena and the classroom. So having training brought into sales huddles, having it brought into team trainings, having contests about skills, having your gamification, your ambition boards about application of skills. That's how you make training part of the culture, which is why it's so critical, number 7, to involve your leaders. You see, this is kind of the basics. The best in class, I want to help you guys shoot for more here. The best companies have this growth mindset culture. The growth mindset is what great looks like. It means everybody in the company is constantly focusing on not just learning, but improving, right? You can read about the growth mindset and it'll talk about Olympians and pro athletes and how it's not about winning. It's about, did I get better? And that is a culture that is exciting to be a part of. You will attract amazing people and you will not lose them. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Jason. You're with me. People with growth mindsets and growth cultures know that learning isn't something you did. It's something you do. Now, sadly, people my age, right? The sales leaders of the world, when we came up, folks, you've heard this story, right? I didn't get training. I got a phone book. I got a tape recorder to record my calls. I had to dial on a real live phone. I didn't even have a freaking headset. I got new hire training and it was over. So it's really hard to convince 50-year-old VPs of sales that learning isn't something you did, it's something you do. But that's what we've got to do. Thanks, Laura. You're right. It's about that lifelong learning. My number one tip to creating a growth mindset culture, if you've got zero budget for training, is to spend a lot of time talking about this. Yeah, rejection. Rejection is part of sales, man. It's the defense in our sport. And when we don't teach young BDRs, SDRs, it's part of the game and how to deal with that, of course they burn out. A really great growth culture I've learned to love is outreach. Their VP of sales would literally send his worst calls to the rest of the company. Totally effed up this one, folks. That makes it okay to fail. Now, a brand new baby rep who's made their 10th call ever, who screws up, doesn't go home hating herself, right? She sends it to the group. That's us all being okay with learning out loud. Fast and easy tip. Ready? Let's talk about some numbers, folks. If we want to bring in some best-in-class training to our people, if we want this to really work, what do we need to budget? Here's what the experts tell us. So my resources for this are ATD, trainingmagazine.com, CSO Insights, eFront Learning. I think that's it. Average for companies, 1 to 3% of their total annual budget. I like using 2 to 5% of your salary budget. Salespeople, 20% higher. Why? Because this 2 to 5% of your salary budget is across all industries, folks. And sellers these days need more training than a forklift operator. Fair. So I've done some math for you here at the bottom. If you've got a team of 25, their average, right, when they're at OTE on target earnings, let's say they're making 90K, that means you're at a 2.25 salary budget. Do your own math. If you're going to go up 2.5%, it's $22.50 per person, budget it. You want to go closer to best in class, right? At that 20% higher is 6%. You're at 5,400 FTE, approximately $50 per $1,000 of salary. Okay. So if you've got people at 100K, 50K, managers, 150K, that's the number you budget for. All right. A couple other interesting stats. By the way, you can download all of these. So Amy's going to put that in a minute. 71K is what small companies are spending with outside vendors, which means tons of it's happening internally, right? But about 70K once a year, a couple times a year, they're bringing somebody in from the outside for that best of class. Large companies, closer to 400K. That's their average outsource spend. And you can see here at the bottom what those spends are on. Small note, onboarding training. So much of that has to be custom built. My trainers, I feel you. It takes a good year to build a great onboarding program. What you can outsource is systems, buy the training from the tool vendor, and sales. But you got to custom build process training. You got to custom build product training. You got to custom build your customer and industry acumen training. And that's enough. So if you're trying to get a better program fast, outsource for at least a minute or two. So let's talk about smart spends next. Oh, Jason, I'm seeing a question. I'll get there. Smart spends versus money wasters. All right. It is smart to spend the money customizing external vendor training. Help your reps see how to apply it faster. That's what that does. If you have a huge sales force and you're doing the same training for field versus virtual, you are missing the mark. If you're doing generic LinkedIn learning only and not customizing it on how to sell my product to my customers in my industry, you're missing the mark. Okay, ongoing reinforcement is also a really smart buy. If you've got a vendor who's saying, hey, I'll do this event for you, and optionally, buy the follow-up series. It's smart, buy the follow-up series. I'm going to show you a slide that proves it in a second, okay? To me, the most important thing you can do is train the managers. We require at Factor 8 that managers come to the rep training, and then we train them afterwards on how to keep it alive, how to reinforce it, how to take it to their huddles, how to use our tools, number 4, right? To do it in an activity, in a team meeting, in a one-on-one, in a sales huddle, in a contest. That's key. That creates the culture. And then lastly, folks are dying for the live stuff, folks, especially now that it has to be virtual. I know we don't all want another Zoom meeting, but we certainly all don't want just another e-learning either. So if you can get them face-to-face, awesome. If you can't, at least make it live. We do cohort-based training at Factor 8 and in Girls Club, and it's everybody's favorite part of the experience. And it's where the learning happens because adults learn by sharing. I'm preaching to the choir, right, my trainers? All right, where can you save some money? Okay, it's a waste if you're not going to involve your managers. You send reps to training and the managers aren't part of it, you've basically thrown away your money. They're going to get inspired. They're going to come up with an idea or two. In a week, it'll be gone. I think it's a waste when you have talking head videos. That's not learning. It's an idea And if afterwards you talk about how to apply it and you practice it, great. But that's just information. That's like a meeting. Be clear what we're doing here is that it's a webinar, right? A webinar is not training. It just isn't. You've got a couple good concepts, but then you have to go do all the work to figure out how to apply it. And I've watched that go all the way to the bottom of my own list, and I'm in the learning business. Your one-stop e-learning libraries. If you literally can't do anything else, get them access to that. Your super achievers will figure out a way to use it, but they'll still leave because it's not what they want. SKOs. Everybody loves an SKO. I love an SKO. Just be clear, it's for inspiration, not for learning. Okay, you can introduce maybe one concept and practice it if the managers are with you, but somebody getting up on stage and speaking, listen, I do both. I love doing it, but my job is to inspire when I'm on that stage, not to find a way for your reps to go take action and do something different when they get back on the job and they sober up. And then finally, make sure that you're partnering with the rest of your organization, because if you're going through a big change, which is part of why you need to bring in training, if you do the training before you change the expectations, before you change the job descriptions, the comp, the reward and recognition, you're not going to get the buy-in. All right. All of that was based on this. Y'all have probably seen this before. It's called the forgetting curve. I learned it on day one, but guess what? A day later, it goes down. 2 days, a week later, it's almost all gone. How do you fight it? You practice it. You do training, not telling. Boom, you bring it out to the floor, you apply it. Boom, you reinforce it through coaching, through feedback, through contests. Look at the difference in your ROI. That's why I'm talking about all these different tools and ongoing stuff. All right, I'm going to pause a second for a couple questions in here. Jason, how do we convince reps who value certifications to value those certs, but also understand lifelong learning? Give them more certifications, dude. I'm sorry, that was rude. I know you've thought of that already. They want to be certified. How do you switch the mindset? I think constantly talking about it, helping them show a week later what they learned in their certification and how they're getting better at it, helping them see that they're certified, but they can keep improving at it. Go grab 6 skills from the certification and make sure that once a week for the next 6 weeks, we're talking about it. Let them be an expert in it. Find a way to go 201 on those skills so that they keep reaching for higher, because it's about improvement, not about results, right? But they still love a certification. We all love it on our resume. And Michael, product and process is so much of a lift, and we aren't even talking about sales skills. I know, right? It's so hard to build all of that. Oh, it took me forever to build new hire programs. That was my job. All right, budget tips. How are we going to do this? If you don't already, we got to make sure that our training is an annual line item, right? There's a line item for tools. There's a line item for recruiting. Why is there not a line item for training? So take that $5,000 in, for instance, right? The 50 per thousand, and get it in there. Next one, no budget, need to find a way to budget. I'm going to tell you, I've never heard of a rep leave a company for lack of tools, but I hear it all day long about training. So repurpose a little bit. Spiffs are there for employee reward. Training's their reward these days. Try that. My next tip is, if you are not, like, I gave you numbers, right? But if one of these 5 things pertains to you, budget more. A big change in go-to-market or channel. For instance, everybody went home and is now virtual. You're going to need to go almost double, if not triple, your budget. It's so hard. They just don't get it, right? If there's a change in your product or your industry, if it's been over a year since you've done any training, please spend more. It's worth it. If your teams went hybrid, if your goal has a big change. If you don't have a trainer in your company and you've got 25 reps and there's growth on the horizon, it's time to go and buy one. And the trainers here will chat in and tell you, trainers, help me out. That great, you've hired them. Now give them 6 months to build what you need. And that'll just be new hire. And it'll be keep getting ready for 12 months. And a year and a half after that, then they're going to get to ongoing rep development. And 3 years after that, they're going to get to manager training. So trainers, if I'm wrong, tell it. Otherwise, preach with me to the sellers and the sales leaders on the call. I think it's important that we share with you guys the ROI. I have a lot of stats for ROI, and what Amy just chatted in also has some ROI. So if you're in there trying to build the case for training, or if you're just building your case in your head, here are some things to keep in mind. HR Magazine, double profit per employee for companies that prioritize training. Isn't that crazy? Those aren't even Salesforce. Double income per employee made by companies that offer thorough training versus less training. Yes, Heather. Yes, exactly. These should help. Okay. 6% is what the Huffington Post found. Higher return for shareholders when the training budget per employee was increased by just $500-600. 680 is the number. I don't know how this study came out, but there you go. Look at these last three. Higher average profits by companies who are investing. The minimum, 24% higher average profits. So folks, you can grab just one of these, okay? The one that pertains to your company. If you're in there fighting for it, Heather, grab one, maybe two. If you grab all six, somehow they get devalued, okay? A few of these are on our download. I'm going to show you on the next slide. Good training can cut rep onboarding time to quota in half. Training Magazine did that study, and this was my life for 10 years in corporate America. And folks, I did it. I cut it by more than half. You help them hit targets and be successful sooner, sometimes by just changing the ramp and making a better new hire training program, which I have an entire other webinar on. Time to quotas cut in half. That keeps them. It's awesome. It's not 9 months of productivity. It's a year of productivity. It's 2 years of productivity because they stay. And 63% is the average improvement seen when you train your managers. I've got living proof on this too, case studies where we've never trained a rep. We only trained the managers on how to be good sales managers because we all used to be reps, right? Huge increases, not just in this one was what? Improvement. So it's hard to tell what it is. I saw it on ARR, right? In 6 weeks of training, we brought in millions of dollars of ARR. All right. So I'm preaching. I know I'm preaching to the choir. If you need more info, it's all in this download. It talks about what to budget. It gives you stats, a little bit on justification. Again, how often is training? So much of what we've talked about is summarized here. We have 5 minutes left. I'm going to talk about investment ROI. I'm going to give you some great things you can do next. And then I have 2 slides at the end for my folks who have zero budget and they need no cost, low cost ways to development. And my sales managers who are trying to onboard reps remotely or build a remote training program. Okay, so stay with me through the very end if that's what you're looking for. Here are some tips on maximizing your ROI. Don't rush it. You need to make sure there's time for it to be customized. You need to make sure that you're getting on the right schedule and your managers can be involved. Any disaster I've had in the 15 years of running Factor 8 is because we rushed the training. If your trainers, if you don't have trainers and your managers are doing all your training, you've got a massive problem. Also, if you have a big rollout happening, which is usually when companies find us, right? Like there's been a go-to-market change, I'm scaling up, I've never done sales training, help us get there. We always start with the managers first. Key to success. Super hard to make yourself do because you've got, the churn of reps going through the front lines and you want to get there. Always collect your baseline so you can prove it. And then here's a big one. We moved 3 years ago from event-based training to annual partnerships, or at least 6-month partnerships. Huge difference. Huge difference. We're building learning cultures. So don't buy event-based training, right? Partner with people so that your people are getting training every single month. Take those 16 hours you were going to spend over 2 days with a travel budget, right? And spread it out over a year. You don't get the fast spikes, but you get the continuous uplift and you're building that culture like we talked about. Tie training to career paths. It's going to keep people longer. And bench build, folks. You got churn. Try to get something in the budget to overhire a little bit, right? If you're training your existing managers, grab your high potential reps and start training them too. Try to get ahead of the game. So you're training them for the job they're about to be in. True also in a career path for a BDR to an AE, or an AE to an ISR or account manager. Woo! My brain's getting full. My mouth's getting tired. We've got a couple minutes left. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you about Factor 8's boot camps and master classes. Got a very teeny tiny budget. You can use your spiff budget for this. It's exactly how we built it. For reps, it's a 6-week virtual training class. I've got stuff for BDRs, for AEs, for AMs, for ISRs. It's a way to get our super expensive enterprise factor rate custom training in a cohort that you can send 5 reps to, 1 rep to. They'll learn from other reps. It's fast, it's quick and dirty. I want you to be involved as a manager, but it's inexpensive and it's award-winning stuff. We've done the same for managers. Okay, 6 weeks. I've got Sales Management 101. I got Coaching 101. I've got 201. Again, you're going to take e-learning. You're going to have live sessions where you apply it, and you're going to have a cohort of people you're learning with as we go. We love that process, and it's so cool for your people to join as well and just kind of get up and outside of their own worlds. If this is your first sales shot, I hope you'll come back. We do something every single month, 30-minute quick hits. Next month, we're talking about prospecting. We got to build a funnel, phone and video, not just email and social. And then in January, I've got 2 really smart guys joining me to talk about selling during a recession, this nervous economy. How can you help your people? Register at factorate.com/shots. Invite your team. This is a great way to do free training with your people. And while I have 1 minute left, I have to tell you about Girls Club because applications are open. Once a year, we do a cohort of about 75 women who are sellers trying to become sales managers. I very often will get newly promoted sales managers as well. This is a sales management certification and job training, confidence building, a female mentor from another company who's a sales manager, director, or VP. Incredible role models come in and do this stuff. It's life-changing. We're up to almost 300 promotions so far. People love it. Come learn more. wearegirlsclub.com/apply. We start in April. Here's my contact information. If you'd like to stay for 5 minutes, my next 2 slides are about low-cost, no-cost development and how to train a virtual team when you don't have a training department. Oh, Lori, yeah. Thank you for vouching for Girls Club. Thank you for joining me. Please come back. This is tons of fun, everybody. I'm going to look for questions and stay an extra 5 minutes to cover these last 2 slides. We'll see you next time if you've got to jump. Otherwise, feel free to join me. Thank you for being here. Oh, Heather, I'm so happy to hear it. So we're having people back. That's great. Here we go, Generation 5. I'm also going to tell you, just, between us girls and the other 100 people on this, that we're going to try something new next year in Girls Club and open up a lower cost, how do you call that? Asynchronous or self-service Girls Club. All of the content where you can start anytime. Because what happens is people are like, hey, LB, have you got a new cohort opening? And I'm like, yeah, you got to wait 6 months. You got to wait 9 months. So this will be on demand, and I think it'll be cool. Yeah, thanks, Tara. Good. All right, folks, I'm going to move forward into some low cost, no cost development and then virtual training. Thanks for staying with me. If we don't win and you get no budget, here are some things to try. I hope you'll chat in other ideas if you've been in this situation. Use stuff like this. Every single month, Factor 8 is a free training. Now, how do you make it training and not telling? It's the plus practice part, okay? Bring all your reps together after the training or book an hour, and the second half, you guys are discussing it. What did you get out of the training? What's something that you can apply? Who does something that's already there? Let's take this idea of the swift intro or the voicemail, and let's all just spend 5 minutes writing one. Let's practice it. Let's role play. If you can end with a role play and some attaboys and attagirls on the way out the door, you've just turned that free training into good, or that free webinar into training, right? Now, you want to go even further? Focus on it for the next week. Talk about it in a huddle. Who can bring a call that tried it? How has it changed? Did anybody get callbacks from the voicemail? Look at results. That's the key to our success at Factor 8. And you can steal it, right? Of course, it's not quite as effective, but if you've got no budget and you can carve out the time, that's how you do it. IDP, Individual Development Plan. Even if you have to put stuff on there that they're going to go research, books they're going to read on their own, live webinars or YouTube videos they're going to find. The content is king right now. There's a lot of it out there. And if reps really want to develop themselves, then you help them focus on it. Together, you decide what skills can be useful, and put them in charge of going out and finding it and bringing it to you to practice in the meetings. So you're basically legitimizing their self-training efforts, but by partnering with them in it and documenting it, you're showing it's important to you, which helps retain them, helps bond them with you, and keeps them focused on where to go. It could also be that some of our brand new baby people don't know what to study and where to go, and you do. So an IDP is a fast and easy way to get that done. Peer-led training assignments. Margie goes and researches best practices in this, and Tom researches best practices in this. And once a month in your team meetings, a rep's going to train people on something. Again, add the practice. You can do the same with a book club and research assignments. I like it best in a book club where we read a chapter between each meeting and then we apply it. Are you noticing a theme with the application here? Okay. Internal leader presentations as well. Oh, my first team of sellers was back at Insight, a computer reseller like CDW, and none of us knew anything. So I would just the product management guy would come in and talk about how it worked over there, right? I was building the process training they didn't get in new hire. The credit lady would come in and talk about how we get credit assigned to people. And you end everyone with the actions we're going to take and how it's going to help us all get better. Boom, done. Which of course, point 7, adding that discussion and follow-up. And I call it translation. Translation is where you take all the stuff I just presented today and say, okay, here's the 6 that apply to me. And how I'm going to translate that into what I ask for with my boss. I'm not going to present a best practice ROI. I'm going to translate that into my specific situation and the ROI I think I can get with my team. That would be an example of translation. Got to do that with skills and how you apply it to your product, customer base, and industry. It's my favorite skill, translation. It's also the 8 in Factor 8. All right, if you're flying solo, and so many of us are, and onboarding people virtually, which makes it so tough, here are some tips. I'm going to start actually with number 2. We think it's our job to tell them everything, and it's not. In fact, it's worse practice. You teaching/telling in a Zoom, because I know that's what you got to use, or Teams, whatever it is 25% of their onboarding. Most of it, that assignments, is what number 1 is. They need to own. Create a daily schedule, right? Here's the 2 hours you're going to spend with me. Here's the 2 hours of what you're going to take online. Here's the 2 hours you're going to be shadowing, and here's the 2 hours you're going to research. But at the end of the day, you need to report back to me on blank. Cool? All right, number 3, research was part of it. Scavenger hunts are huge. Go learn how to use the tools by finding me these things. Go research our website until you can find me a case study that pertains to your account base. Go research all the case studies until you can find me one that's going to help you sell blank to blank. There's that translation in there again. You do that in assignments. So often we feel like we have to take it all on and teach them how to do that. I'll go find the case studies. I'll figure out which ones apply. And then what I'm going to do is read all of them and then talk about their products and how they can use that in a story. And let me write the story. You are way down the wrong road, man. You don't have time for that crap. I know. So you assign it to the eager beaver rep. You just can't do it with a meeting. Hey, go figure this shit out. You got to write it down on a daily assignment. Here's the, feed them a little bit, right? Baby steps to get there. That's what I mean by the shadow checklists and evaluations. If you're going to send them out to shadow a rep, great. But everyone's going to be asleep in 30 minutes unless they have a checklist of stuff they need to bring back to you. What did they use for their introduction? How would you rate the engagement of their customer? What percent did the rep talk versus the customer? How many questions did the rep ask? How would you rate this rep? What do you think the customer will do next? I just made those up off the top of my head, but man, now somebody's engaged, right? And they're learning what they need to about the customer point of view in the sales process. Customer interviews, case studies, call recordings, and guest speakers all fill time. Use the rep's free bandwidth. Eager beavers, they're doing a case study project that we just made up. Their job is to record their result, and that's content for your next new hire. So have them build out a one-pager, a checklist, a video, etc. Outsource what you can. You've heard me say this before. You can't do process and product. You just can't. Some acumen, right? but you can very easily with sales and with systems. And then finally, here's my last tip. I absolutely love it. It's called the pause game. Okay. The pause game is where you play a call recording. It doesn't matter if it's theirs, right? They're brand new. It won't be. I don't care if it's even a good call. You're going to get a 3-minute call. And about every 30 seconds, you're going to pause it. You're going to ask 2 questions. Number 1, what's the customer thinking? Number 2, what would you do next? Now, the reason behind those 2 questions is very simple. 1, reps take a long time to ramp, not because they don't know what to do, but because they don't know when to do it. So when you are letting them get into the mind of the customer, right? What are the customer thinking and what would you do next? They're scanning their internal brain of file folders, because that's how adults learn. And they're like, oh, this is where I pull out those product questions. Oh, this is when I use my value prop. Oh, this is where I use that product knowledge. Okay. Those things we're teaching them, it's when do I use it that makes it so hard and long in the ramp. The pause game gets them practicing doing that in real time. It slows the game down for them because you know it's really scary when you first make your calls. It's like, I don't even know what happened. It's like game tape, right? And the last reason I think it's so critical is because it helps us get into the mindset of our customer. As new reps, we're so caught up in our own worlds and what we're supposed to do. We're never thinking about how to add value to the customer. At Factor8, we call that SWIFT. It's our sales methodology. So what's in it for them? It also means do it faster, right? So asking that constantly is helping them think like the customer, which will help them connect better and be more authentic with them. I've got 1 minute left for any questions. Thank you for hanging with me. Alessandra and Allie and Brenna and Caitlin, Cindy, David, Guillerme, I hope I didn't mess that up. Heather, Jason, Karen, and Melissa. We're the crew. It's great to see you. Again, I'm sorry I couldn't actually see you. Yeah. Melissa, I'm glad you got some great ideas today. Come on back and join us sometime, everybody. I'm sorry my screen went dead in the middle of it. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'll see you next month where we're talking about filling the funnel. You know, all those millennials that are scared to use their phone? We've got tips to get them past that. Until next time, Brenna, thank you, everybody. Have a really great week and weekend and a great Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. Bye-bye.